Hey everyone, thanks so much for coming. Wow, there's a lot of you. My name's Janelle Riley. I'm an editor of Variety. I am so thrilled to welcome you to this Q&A. Please join me in welcoming some of the people who brought this film to life. I want to start with actors Maura Tierney, Holt McElhenney, Stanley Simons. We have Jeremy Allen White. Yeah. Zac Efron.
Yeah.
We have actually the man whose story is shown in this wonderful film. Please welcome Kevin Von Erich. And also, Holt is here. Oh, please welcome Holt McElhenney. And writer, director, producer, Sean Durkin. Thank you all so much for being here. Kevin needs to be next to Sean, or else I'll confuse you with the cast. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on this beautiful but tragic film about brotherhood, masculinity, family, so many important topics. This is an audience actually of your fellow SAG-AFTRA actors. So for the actors, I always like to start by asking, how did you get your SAG card? What was the job that brought that magic piece to you? And let's start with Maura. Your family.
My first SAG job was I played a mean cheerleader in a TV movie called Student Exchange.
Wow.
And I never play the bad guy, so it's that was the first and only time I got to do it.
Was that a horror film?
No, it was I was just a mean cheerleader.
It was an episode of Law and Order.
Yes.
SVU, yeah.
Right.
The scene across from Ice-T, and my second scene got cut. So.
I think mine was probably Law and Order as well. I played Michael Pizza Face Parisi. And he was a pedophile pyromaniac with really bad acne.
Wow. Zach, for you?
In all seriousness, if I remember correctly, I think I got my SAG card with Maura on ER. Yeah.
No way.
She rescued me off of a sidewalk from a gunshot wound and operated on me for hours. And we had
kidding.
We hugged it out. It was like the best day of my life at that point. I couldn't believe it. And that was it.
Did you live?
I'm still here.
No, well, I mean your character. Your character, I should specify.
I don't think the character made it, man. It was pretty
no.
bad. No,
I love that episode.
Yeah, that's. Well, again, congratulations on a wonderful film. I want to start at the beginning with Sean, because I believe you've been wanting to tell the story of this family for quite some time now. When did you first sort of become aware of them?
Yeah, so I've been a fan of this guy right here since I was about 9 years old.
I assume you mean Kevin, not Zach, because Zach was leaning in. So.
No. And yeah, I was a huge wrestling fan. In the late 80s, early 90s, I was living in England, sort of watching everything you could see on TV, but it wasn't really enough. I just kept digging and digging, and I found a VHS tape of these guys wrestling at the Sportatorium, and just, fell in love with them, their camaraderie, their energy in the ring, the way the Sportatorium looked. It was just different than everything else. Yeah. It just had a different feel, and it captured me. And I got to see Kerry live a few times in the WWF. And yeah, I've just loved them as a kid. And so this was like a lifelong dream project for me. Yeah.
Really going back decades.
Yeah.
You've wanted to tell this story. That's amazing. Yeah. Kevin, for you, I'm curious, over the years, have people wanted to tell your family story?
I have been approached several times, but I didn't want to tell the story that, I wanted to tell it my way. We had a lot of love in our family, and I thought so much of my dad. All of my brothers did. We loved him so much. And you know, I just wanted to make sure that when I talked to Sean, that he knew how important that was to me, that the love was projected that we had for each other, and the concern. And it sounds like, you know, we were a family business. You know, we had we put butts in seats, and in wrestling, that's important, you know, and all entertainment, that's important. And so it was a great time. We just, you know, we just took it as it came.
Yeah. I mean, and this film obviously isn't going to work without the perfect ensemble. You've assembled an amazing family on screen. Zach, what did you know about Kevin or this family when this project found its way to you?
I didn't know that much about, well, I had a little experience watching professional wrestling growing up. My parents kind of didn't enjoy it when my brother and I watched it. We'd start wrestling. So, you know, I was aware of it. I didn't know about Kevin's story until I read the script and really got familiar with it. And it really opened my eyes, man. We immediately started over the rehearsal process hanging with a lot of professional wrestlers and working with them, and they let us know like the magnitude of the story that we were telling. It all had personal stories about how it affected them and inspired them. And so, yeah, I very quickly became a huge fan, man. I can't believe I'm sitting here with you today.
You're an artist, a true artist.
Yeah. I mean, was it ever intimidating, though, to look at the scope of this role and realize you were going to play this character over several years and you would have to, you know, change your physical form?
Yeah, I think, but you know, any challenge like that is, as much as it makes you nervous, I think that's what's really exciting about, you know, this art form and this craft. It's, of course, it's a big challenge, but I knew that with Sean Durkin at the helm, you know, he had everything it took. He cared about it so much that I knew there was no way he would not approach the story with every bit of, you know, passion and care, you know, that he possesses. So.
And did you get to spend time with Kevin prior to making the movie?
Nope. We didn't meet until world premiere. We met in Texas. Had we met before? No.
No, we have not.
Wow. I mean, I understand why. And I don't know if that was your call or, you know, it's just dictated by the filming, but so you must have gone off of research footage, so many other things you had to draw on.
It was more fear of intimidation.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to get, you know, he's an iconic character and, you know, he's a hero. I was thinking about enough, I think, as it was. If I would have met the real guy, I would have cared probably too much, you know.
Yep.
So
Totally understand. Also, I think he can still take you. So,
that's for sure. Oh yeah, 1,000%.
I want to ask the other Von Erichman sort of about your preparation for this movie, because where did you even begin with your research, not just physically, but mentally for these roles? Jeremy, I don't know where this fell in the shooting of The Bear, but you know, it looks like you had to physically transform. Maybe you were happy to know you could eat whatever you wanted on The Bear because you had this coming up.
Yeah, I know. You know, I don't know where it fell into place. I think I had wrapped the first season of The Bear and had a couple months off and kind of a summer off. And then I think I started talking to Sean about this maybe 2 months or so before we got started. And I'd known Sean for a really long time. Sean produced one of my first films ever, and I've always been such a big fan of his and trying to find my way back to him. And so he told me a bit of the story, sent me the script, and asked me to watch an episode of Dark Side of the Ring that focused on the Von Erichs, and that was my introduction to the men. After I watched that, I knew I wanted to be a part of the story. I found the story unbelievable. I was really taken with all of the brothers and their relationships. And that's, when I started eating and lifting heavy things when I decided to do that. And I just kept doing that for months leading up. But yeah, I mean, we were lucky. There's a lot of footage of these men online. There are a lot of, you know, podcasts and interviews you can watch. People who knew these men, spend time with them. And yeah, I think it was trying to understand the environment, understand the time, the place, the sport of professional wrestling, which I didn't know very much about. And then, yeah, getting into the details of what I thought about the relationship between these men, the brothers, their father, mother, and the family. Yeah.
I mean, speaking of the brothers, Stanley, I was curious, did the three of you, convene prior to shooting and share like workout tips or, or talk about these relationships?
Yeah, no, they were helping me a lot with the working out. No, we met at the wrestling ring, in prep, like a week or so before maybe a couple of weeks before we started the actual initial shooting of the film. And Jeremy and Harris lived a couple blocks away from me in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we got to explore that town a little bit and hang out.
He's
Yeah.
smiling, so I want to hear those stories.
Yeah. I was in a small little hotel, and no, I'm not complaining, but they were in like a nice spot. So I go over there. I went over to Harris's crib and cooked meals and hung out and shot the shit. Yeah, it was fun. They were super inviting and very welcoming, and yes, they did help. Zach especially gave me some workout tips. I don't know if that showed, but yeah, we were doing that. Between takes, we were pumping iron.
Love that. I want to ask Holt and Maura about the different ways we see Doris and Fritz, deal with their tragedies. Can you talk about what it was like to embody these parents with love for their family, but they're also grappling with such a loss? Was it a hard place for you to be emotionally?
Can I just add one thing about their working out and eating?
Yeah, of course.
They ate all day, every day, whatever they wanted to eat. And I'd be sitting there with my water and my orange. So that was emotionally challenging for me. But I feel like in terms of, there was a lot less of Doris around for me to research, so I sort of had to invent a little bit more. And I think in terms of, she was a woman who had, such tragedy upon her at a young age, losing a young child, and I think the only way she could proceed was to move forward in a day-to-day way with the rest of her family. Like, no one really taught you how to deal with grief and being that religious at that time. So I think it was more about figuring out how to express a person who's in a lot of pain that has no idea how to express it.
I mean, unspeakable pain repeatedly. It's really, I don't know if you're the kind of actor who takes your work home with you, but was it ever challenging?
No, I feel like it was a lot on the page and a lot was discussed with Sean. So, and I think on one of these before, was it you that said we'd say to Sean, how much emotion do you want to see in this scene? And he'd say, none. It was planned to have these people kind of be very, very stoic.
Yeah. And Holt, for you, I mean, this character is very complex, and I think in other actors' hands, he could kind of be like a cardboard villain, and you do such a good job of imbuing him with humanity.
Yeah, I mean, look, I never saw, and I don't now, I never saw Fritz von Erich as a villain. I mean, I'm sitting here with his son, and I just want to say to you, Kevin, that it was a great honor for me to play your father. I mean that sincerely. I know that, he has his critics and he has his admirers, but, I'm firmly in the latter category. And, in my own life, I had an absent father. And the fact that Fritz took so much pride in his son's success and, was such a family man and, and loved his wife. I feel like you would know better than me because I never got to meet your dad. He died long before we made this film, but I got the impression that he was a man who was in love with one woman
Yeah.
his whole life. What I saw in your dad was a guy who wanted his sons to be as successful as they could possibly be. And I think he took tremendous pride in the phenomenal success that you guys enjoyed. It may not have been long-lived, but there was that one moment in time when you guys were on the top of the world, and I just think that was a tremendous source of pride and satisfaction for your dad.
Thank you, Paul. That's a really nice thing to say, and my dad was that kind of man. I have that kind of respect for him. It was never, didn't see him as really that overbearing. It was just hard work, and I appreciate that you put so much into that, and you really came through. It's just beautiful work. You too, Zach and Jeremy. It's just a beautiful movie, and it's entertainment. It's a movie, and so it's not going to be completely, on the beam. But I believe they got the ferocity, all of the traits that my dad had, and I hope people like it. I think you did a great job.
Thank you so much.
I want to ask Sean what it was like for Kevin to see the movie the first time, but also Kevin, what was it like for you to see, this movie and your family portrayed on screen?
Well, at first I was pretty scared,
Sure.
But these guys' hearts are full of love, and I talked to Sean, and he had this just determination to put this movie out, and it was a labor of love, and so I have to trust him, and I did trust him, and I think they put a good piece of work together. I think it'll be good for my sons and good for I have two sons, Ross and Marshall, who are wrestling right now. And they'll be in Dallas in 3 days for a big show with AEW. And so things are going great. And I have to say, you guys that know the story, I did have about 10 years of losing a brother over 2 years, and it was tough. And I did what I could to survive, and I moved out to Kauai, and I've lived there for 18 years on my mountain, and we don't come home. I don't come out off the mountain except to go to the doctor once a month, and Pam might take my wife. And so let me tell you, a lot changed in 18 years.
Yeah.
But it's good to be back, and we're going back and forth still, but life is good. Life is hard, though, and sometimes you have to step up, and when you feel like you can't make it, you've lost too much, well, maybe this movie can inspire some people that are feeling down and like they can't make it. You got to make it. You can. When children are involved, your babies, your wife, yes, you can do it. Fight hard. It's worth it.
I'm so sorry to ask Sean to follow that. But that's got to be the review that matters, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can never capture an entire life or entire family's life in a movie, and that's never the goal. And the goal is to try and capture something truthful and find the core. And as I was rooting through this epic story, of what to include and what not to include, the guiding light was always Kevin speaking about surviving. And that is the core. And in the end, it just had to be about that. And you can see why, talking to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Zach, did Kevin say anything to you after he saw the film, or tell you what a great job you did? I'm asking you to be immodest, but because I asked, it's okay.
You know what? We did get to meet after, you had seen the movie, and we had a really nice heart-to-heart. It was, you could see the kind of guy he is, and it was a very heartfelt, meaningful conversation, especially from my perspective. And I don't want to go into the details too much of it, but
I don't know, man. I left with a full heart and so much love and just inspired, man. It's so cool to play a character like you. It's so fun to be able to be a small part of your story, man. And you know, I think it's inspiring and motivating to a lot of people, man. You remind me just to never quit and keep going. And you know, that's everything, man. That's everything for young men out there these days. So thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate it, bro. Thanks.
I want to remind everyone, first I want to ask if you can stay seated because they actually have to be somewhere, but remind everyone that this movie will be in theaters December 22nd. It's such a special film. Please spread the word. Thank you so much for being a great audience. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Man. Awesome.